Okay, we're gonna try to do this in one take. Now, this is a completely different video than I normally do. The reason for doing this is because someone messaged me in the last couple of days talking about they've been going through depression and my video seems to help them. Now, I was able to give that person advice, but as someone who still goes through depression and has done stuff in the past, I just wanted to talk about my experience. Also in the comment section, just tell how much this person is loved. Now I'm gonna sound like a big hypocrite because I'm gonna talk about my story and what I've done in the past. But I just hope, for me, I feel like it was, and I said this is completely stupid to say, but sometimes I feel like I'm not like a lost cause, but maybe it's too late for me. But hopefully, whoever's seeing this is going through depression or suicidal thoughts, then they can understand at an early age it's kind of wrong to do. I feel like a lot of people don't understand how serious depression actually is and how much it can actually affect people in the long run. Now, for me, I've been dealing through depression for maybe since I was age 6, I would like to believe, maybe even 5 or 4, and I don't know if you can actually call that depression because at a young age I don't understand or even know if someone can even understand what depression is at the age. But I've been going through that back and forth, gone through therapy, think about, you know, committing suicide plenty of times, told my family, done it again, haven't told my family. This is gonna be the first time I'm going to be talking about some stuff which no one really knows except for my therapist. Now, I can go back all the way from the beginning. This started off when I was about age three to five, I would say, and I was molested as a kid, and then that was for my babysitter. And sorry, this is, oh my god, harder than I expected. So I was molested as a young kid, and I was a very quiet kid. I would say that's what my family says. Now, I guess as that happened, and as a kid, you don't know what to do, what to say. So I guess I just kept it in, and oh my god. And I guess that has changed me as I've grown up to become older. Now, because of that, I lost my innocence at a young age. I can't even say it wasn't serious because that's how I look at it. Because I guess when people say they've been molested, it could be various different things. For me, I would say it's not as serious, but no one should have to go through that. So, so after that happened, I started to become more quiet, started just do my own thing. My family members always used to wonder why doesn't Sean speak? And they probably just thought I was a quiet kid, and I had to keep that secret for almost 20 plus years. Now, as that progressed, I started to become very depressed. I would say at age 7, I started cutting. That was my first time I ever did that. Now, the reason for doing that is when I was a kid, my dad used to make us, me and my brother, do spelling tests, and there was times when he used to get it wrong. And I feel like when I was younger, what I wanted to do was be seen in a certain light to my parents. So if I disappoint them, then I would start to cut myself or trying to make myself feel some type of pain. And that was my first time ever doing it. And I remember doing it on, I didn't know how to do it, or I guess there is no right way to actually do that. But for some reason is at that age I wanted my parents to know, and so I decided to cut myself on my forehead about 3 or 4 times straight across, and that happened. And then after that I lied about it and said, I can't remember what I said, but I think it was like I said me and my brother got in a fight and he hit me with a book and I got hit by pages of the book. I don't know if that was a good excuse, but let's not even talk about that. So as that progressed, that was my first time, and then gradually it started to go down, started to get good grades, started to focus, play football. I guess changed and did sports, and that was a good reliever of pain, I guess, or my mind was really distracted on other stuff. So that happened, and then as I started to get older, around 10, my parents got divorced, and then that made me go back into depression. And since then, I feel like I've been living with very strong anxiety. I think it's called generalized anxiety. I think that's what it's called. Now, it's kind of like you almost put pressure on yourself, you overthink stuff. There could be times when I'm thinking about stuff, and then that one thing controls my whole day. I'll be pacing, like, I have to complete what I have to do, or be on my mind 24/7. Years start to go by, and I never once caught myself again until I feel like it started to do A levels. So that's around the age 17 to 18. I started to cut myself. I don't know if that was to do with pressure to do with school or grades or trying to get into a certain college or uni, but the pressure just made me go back into that type of depression, and I started to cut myself a lot more. And the way I covered it up was as soon as I became 18, I got tattoos and then covered it on each side. And then people might say, there's so many different type of techniques to stop depression or anxiety. And sometimes they're like, taking deep breaths, stuff like that, have a stress ball and all that type of stuff. I'm not telling you it doesn't work, because for me it doesn't work. It just feels like nothing. Sometimes it even makes me feel worse. I wouldn't say it's complete bullshit, but for me that never worked. And since that time, throughout all that time, I've been dealing with a health issue. I was born with sickle cell. Now, it's kind of like a blood disease. I don't want to go too much into detail. You can search it up. But I feel like going to the hospital every couple months to get tests, scan your head, brain, chest, lungs, x-rays, continuously. I feel like that at a very young age, that also made me very depressed. Now, as that happened, there's been 4 times when I've had seriously thought about committing suicide, and twice I actually did, and luckily I was able to survive. So when I was in 2016 was the first time. So since then, my dad passed from cancer, my brother went to jail, and I was just going through a lot of different health issues during that moment of time, and I didn't want to live. I just, like, obviously you also always think about your family and how they would feel, but there was a time when I was constantly just researching, like, how to go, cutting in a certain way, taking pills. One time, and I'll talk about in the future, is I was thinking about, okay, I don't want my family to see me, so what's the easiest way to die and not be in the house? So there was a time when I thought about literally going to a train station and then going in front of a train, and at one point that was the easiest thing. And in 2016, after my dad passed and brother went to jail, I felt like I was alone, because my mom has never lived with me since age 8 or 9, since they divorced. So at that time, I was practicing, I would say. So went back to cutting myself. I was taking different pills, and I was just seeing how they'll feel. So there were some times when I would take, say it was paracetamol and a different pill, because of my sickle cell. If I go to the hospital, I'm able to get very strong drugs. So I would mix and match, and then I'll just see how I feel. So in 2016, I was taking a lot of painkillers a day. Now, I don't know how much is the actual amount you're supposed to take, but I was always taking double digits every single day. And I was doing that instead of calling myself. I was like, this is easier. I can nobody actually be able to see it. You know, I could just firm it, and then this is how I'm gonna be dealing with it from now on. And I know it can damage your lungs. I know it can damage a lot of stuff inside you, but that was the easiest way for me just to relieve my pain, and without anybody seeing this, because at that time I was still doing uni. So in 2017, I decided I didn't want to live anymore, and my family have like a group WhatsApp message, and when I say message, I mean chat, and I put in a long ass paragraph explaining how I feel, and I was done with life, and I guess that was my last string of hope. I was just hoping someone will actually stop me from doing something. And at that time, when I sent that message, I was already at Waterloo Station, which is a station in London, and I decided that I'm gonna step in the train in the next 5 minutes. But what happened was, if I remember, it was underground station, and luckily my phone connected to one of the Wi-Fi's, and the train was delayed, or it was taking longer than expected. It said 2 minutes, and then for the next 3 minutes it didn't come. But then during that time, I had a flood of messages from my family telling me, calling me, and then trying to speak to me, and I was able to see one message from my mom, and that completely stopped me there. Now, I guess we could say someone was looking over me. The timing was perfect, but at that time period, I felt good, but at the same time, I felt like it just really just prolonged my feeling. And yes, it helps at that moment, but then the next day you still feel like shit, and you want to continue doing the same thing which you've been doing before. Because I feel like people feel if you have a conversation with somebody and they understand you straight away, your depression is gone or your anxiety is gone. It's a continuous feeling, and I feel like people don't really understand that. So in that time period, I was great. Like for the next 2 days, I was okay. I felt loved. I felt like I was needed. I felt like I belonged, and I was okay. And then I would say until mid 2018 is the next time when I wanted to commit suicide. And because of what happened at the train station, I was like, okay, this time nothing is going to stop me from doing it. So what happened is 2 weeks before I decided I wanted to do that, I was actually in hospital with my sickle cell, and they gave me very strong medication, and I took maybe 1 day's worth, and I told myself this is what I'm going to use to go and disappear. And so I had 2 sets of different pain kits which they gave me, which is really strong, and I bought paracetamol and a bunch of different stuff, which and then I said, okay, now I still didn't want my family to see me, so I said I'm gonna go to a hotel, and I'll go there for the night. I'll take the pills, drink water, go to sleep, and not wake up next morning. That's what I agreed with myself. So I actually did it, and I went to the hotel, booked in, and maybe from 7 to 9 or 10, I just wrote a bunch of letters, and it had the names and everything like that, and I set it aside the other pillow which was next to me, and I remember pouring the glass of water and having the pills next to the counter, and for the next hour I was just pacing, and it's like you're sitting down and then you can't keep still. It's like your hands, your feet keep moving, and you're just constantly feeling, but it's kind of like you want to vomit, but it's like the vomit it's stuck here. That's how anxiety, I can't explain how anxiety feels, but that's how I feel. And then sometimes you get a little bit dizzy and exhausted. So for the next hour, that's how I felt, and I was literally considering it. But then I said, okay, let me try and come to this conclusion to myself. If I message somebody, obviously they're gonna stop me. So I took the pills. Um, I can't remember how much I took. I took over 10 or 11 different pills, I feel like. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep. I woke up next morning with a lot of vomit surrounded around me, and a little bit of blood. Now, sometimes when I have sickle cell and I get really sick, I do cough up blood. So I decided to stay another night, and I didn't want to go through again because I was in a lot of pain. Now, I should have gone to the hospital because I could have maybe just died there. I don't know the after effects. But I stayed one more night, and then I said, okay, I can try and cover this up as sickle cell. So that's what I wanted to stay another night for. So I did that. Um, Family didn't message me because they don't keep up to date with me every single day. So during that time, I was like, still had maybe 75% of the tablets actually there, and still considered like, I mean, now I'm mentally in a lot of pain and physically in a lot of pain, and I was like, why don't I just end it here? And almost throughout the whole night, I just kept on reading all the messages from 2017 from the group chat and the calls, and it was really more to do with my mom when she called and she sent so much voice notes, and it was just her crying. And it's very tough hearing your parent cry in that certain way, and I felt like that was the one thing which actually stopped me from doing it. I feel like if I had no family, I definitely would have been gone. I would have been gone, if even to a certain extent, if my family was very old. If they were in their 60s, I feel like I probably would have been gone too. I would have probably thought maybe, you know, they're not going to live long, and their pain won't be that long. It will be maybe 10 years. And in my head, that's how I justified of, this is how I'm going to do it. And the justification never makes sense to anybody, but it's our way of thinking. So at that time, that's how I wanted to go. And that was the last time when I actually wanted to disappear. It's been 2 years since then, and I've gone through loads of different therapy by myself. I've tried different techniques, and I wanted to talk about this because this is the person who told me about the depression was they were 18. Now, if I had all of my knowledge or thinking or support at 18, maybe I would have never have tried this. Maybe I still would have. I don't know what would happen. Like I said in the beginning, sometimes I feel like it's inevitable. Like it's going to happen, and I just don't know when. And sometimes when I have breaks on YouTube, and then people are like, "Oh, you upload once a week, once a 2 weeks, sometimes once 3 weeks, and other people upload and do this and do that. Why don't you upload? Why don't you do that?" And I don't say that causes me any anxiety or whatever, because I choose when I want to upload and I put a lot of effort into that. But a lot of the times when I do have long breaks is either either my sickle cell, or I get a lot of anxiety, and in that time period I try to do work, but my mind is so distracted I can't actually do anything. And I apologize for that. Maybe I should be doing more, find better ways, or I can't really say I apologize because it's up to me to do work. But that's the whole situation of me just uploading. During the last 2 years, I haven't tried to commit suicide. I have thought about it a lot. Gone through a lot of depression. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there is hope for everybody, and it's a long journey. There's there's a lot of small wins when it comes to dealing with anxiety and stuff like that. And there's a lot of drawbacks. There's a lot of times when you will fall back and then try get back on top. Um, I'm gonna leave a couple links in the description and probably in the comment section of what I've tried to use. I feel like people gloss over depression or anxiety. They feel like it's not actually a real thing, even though I feel like a lot of people, to a certain extent, actually deal with it or actually have it and they actually don't know about it. Um, that's all I'm going to say for the moment. I hope no one was too harsh or too judgmental of my decisions I've made in the past. Um, I do hope that I don't go back into that dark path. I feel like I have a lot more to do. Um, I guess just thank you for listening.